Welcome to be my guest. This is Jan Lewis. Today we have Jon Borowko, and he is a cartoonist illustrator for corporations, businesses. Welcome, Jon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Jan.
This is the type of thing where the artist started at, and I can relate, at a very, very early age doing this. And this, we'll go quickly just through your beginning, and then we'll get into more about what you do.
All right.
But the first one is this one. This, you were in first grade.
Right.
And tell me if you got that right.
Yeah.
This was, tell us the story behind it.
Okay, the story is I was in first grade and I was with my regular classroom, and we were going to transition from one class to another. They were taking us to make popcorn in a different room. And as we were walking down the hallway, there was a classroom I saw to the side, and there were kids in there sitting at their tables drawing pictures. And I said, oh, that looks like fun, and I just kind of veered off from my class, went into this other classroom and sat down and started drawing this picture. And I didn't think much of it when I did the drawing, but it was interesting that everyone else seemed to really make a big deal about it, and I wasn't really sure why.
Yeah.
But if you look at the picture, you can see that the houses on the left are actually drawn in perspective, one behind the other. And that's something that first graders usually, not all of them can do that, but some people can see that. So they actually saw that. They could see, they asked you to draw something you were thinking of, and
you just wandered into someone else's class.
I just wandered in there.
How did you get out of your first grade classroom?
Oh, I thought I was going to get in trouble later on, but what ended up happening with that drawing is they ended up posting it in the public library in my town.
In Oxford? You're from Oxford?
No. Actually, at the time I was living in Milton, Massachusetts.
Milton, Mass. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that drawing, because of how if people reacted to it, inspired me to continue and to draw.
Looks like a couple of kids with their raincoats on and the umbrella.
Yeah. In
the house. And is that a school bus?
It's a school bus. We were waiting for the bus. That's what I was thinking of when I drew it.
Now, we have the next one up. We're getting to the point.
Yes.
This is the beginning of Jon Borowko's cartoon illustrating for corporations.
A quick chronology.
Now, this moves up to grade.
That's high school.
That's high school.
And if you flip to this page up behind it, that has, it's actually...
It's a two-pager?
Yeah, and it was just an idea to draw a comic strip and add some color to it. So it has pen and ink, but it also has some watercolor done. The pen and ink is for the fine lines, the watercolor was for the sky and the colors that follow.
How old were you there?
I'd like to say 17, 18.
What did the other kids think about your talent?
I used to actually help in the art classes, help the teachers.
So they liked this.
Yeah.
Did you know already that this is what you were going to go into?
No.
You had no idea?
Well, I knew I was going to draw. I wanted to illustrate. In high school, they asked me I asked my teachers what would be the best thing to do to get into this as a career, and they said you should go into commercial art.
Definitely.
And commercial art, I don't hear that term anymore now. I hear graphic design. So that's what I went to school for, which can bring us up to this next drawing, which is actually...
This is all fine ink.
That is a fine ink drawing. It took 2 weeks to draw that picture.
Only 2 weeks?
But it actually drew itself. It was one of those things where I had an idea and just all the elements kind of fell into place as I drew it.
It's a pirate, right?
It's a pirate, but if you look in the window of the ship, there's a little pirate looking out the window. And I'd like to add a little twist to the drawings.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the beginning of that. So
beautifully done. Has this been displayed anywhere? Like the other one was in the libraries?
This one actually, on advice from friends, was put into the, there was a student art exhibit at the college.
Yeah.
And so I put it in there. It won an honorable mention for illustration.
What college did you go to?
Westfield State University.
Ah, you know, I remember I applied to Westfield, Plymouth, and Keene, but I wanted Plymouth. Because it looked, you know, I don't know if you've seen it up in New Hampshire, but it's like that collegiate way up there.
Yeah.
I was too far from home.
Oh, really?
You wouldn't know. It was okay, but I majored in art, but I grew up near Springfield, so I was very homesick.
Oh, well, I liked getting out and seeing another part of the state, and that's why I ended up going to Westfield State. And
now, this is recent.
This drawing that you see right now was just drawn in the last week to promote the business.
Yeah.
After hearing from you on doing this show, I felt that the best way to advertise this business was to actually do a comic strip that talks about getting messages across from one person or a dinosaur to a person, or one person to another. So
when I see the Office one geared towards the companies, the corporations, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, as soon as I read about what you did, and I got in touch with you, I said, this is I've never heard of this. I have never heard of doing this in a corporate. And what a great way. Almost these could be gifts at when somebody is retiring.
Right.
They could be in the boss's office.
Yeah.
What other thoughts have you had about where these would be?
Well, since I spoke to you about it, I've been thinking a lot about that too, and I think that what's good about it is you can apply it to so many different things. I was in corporate America for a while, and in corporate America, there's a lot of information going back and forth.
Yeah.
That there's just so much information, and trying to just process that and have people made aware of what's going on, rules that are coming down that have to be followed, new ideas, just new procedures for things. There were times where it was very wordy and hard to follow. So there were times actually where I did work in one company that did packaging, and they were trying to describe different sizes of packages and how labels would go on the packages, and it was hard to put two and two together in words to say, okay, well, label A needs to go on package B or whatever. It was just very confusing. So I would make a drawing of the box or whatever it was with the label saying, well, this shape label goes on this box, and I just did it visually, and it just seemed to make more sense.
And you know what? It adds a sense of lightness and humor to the office.
Yeah.
Because I can see this. I mean, this type of thing could be all over the place. I mean, I did corporate too.
Yeah.
And if we had some lighthearted cartoonist illustrations in the office, it would have made things a lot more fun.
Well, even caricatures that can be done. I know I've actually, the job I did get, the real big one since I started this, was in an office, for an office, and I walked into the office and they had caricatures that were done by someone else on each cube of different people that worked there. Why not take those caricatures and have them in a situation in the cartoon? You could do that as well, and it wouldn't be done in a way other than just to promote them. It would be positive and would be a lighthearted take, like you say, on.
Definitely. What made you? Well, let's go back. Let's reverse it. So you went to college and you majored in?
I majored in art.
Yeah.
With a minor in illustration.
Yeah. And then you graduated, and from there, what did you do?
First job I had was with a publishing company. I did paste up, which people don't do anymore because everything's electronic. But I had the opportunity to do some illustration work for them because it was a publishing company that did magazines, and there was 3 magazines published a month, and they at times needed a title illustration, and in that you had to do the same thing where you were interpreting something like it was very technical work or technical subject matter that these companies did, that these magazines covered, excuse me. And in doing that, say you had to draw a satellite dish or something, so you ask your editor, okay, what do you want your satellite dish to look like, and you draw it as close as possible.
Right.
It still sort of had a cartoony look, but not cartoony to the point of being like silly cartoony, more just...
you got your message across.
Yeah.
They didn't have any doubt as to what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I went to work on ornaments, which I brought a few of.
Sure, bring them out, show them.
And I'll hold this up to show you. This is actually something that is where a drawing can actually be etched, photo etched they call it, into metal. And in other words, it's reproduced in the metal as a texture. And then you can actually take the metal and this is probably more of a fine art thing, where you can actually take something.
It's a craft, you know?
It's a craft.
Yeah.
And there's an industry for this where not only do you have stuff that's decorative for the holidays, but you can also do stuff that's commemorative. Say you have a building that's 100 years old, and you want to try to show people an anniversary.
Actually, a corporation could give those out at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a building with a frame around it, just to show you. This is basically just two pieces, a piece of metal in the back and then a frame in the front, and you can make it look 3D. And what I had learned from that, it was to take the essence of an image and make it fit in a 3-inch space, because ornaments you can't put every brick in a building in an ornament in an etching. So that has helped to simplify the images and capture the essence of what your person is trying to get across. So that has translated back into the cartoons again, where I can draw things that look complicated but are more simple.
Yeah, and so then you were corporate for a while. This is recent. You just started this on your own.
Yes.
What, do you have a name for it yet? Or are you just getting it out there that you're a cartoonist illustrator for corporations?
A website has just come up that we put together. It is called Corporate-Cartoonist.com. It was just launched a couple of days ago, and it's still under construction, but on that site you can actually see a cartoon. That cartoon is going to be featured, and it will be a centerpiece on the landing page, as they call it. So you can look at that and you can see what that will tell you exactly what it is, which is getting your message across. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it saves you on the wording and gives you some pictures and still gets your idea across.
John, if somebody wanted to connect with you on email, would you like to give the audience your email number?
Certainly. The email is john@corporate-cartoonist.com.
John with a J-O-N.
J-O-N, yes.
Jon Borowko, but just John, J-O-N, and then the rest of the...
Yes, Jon@corporate-cartoonist.com.
And you just started this. And you had your first... I actually found you on Craigslist. It was awesome. I was going down there looking for talent, and I went, wow, I've never seen this before. Not put that way for corporations. And then somebody did scoop you. They got you right off the bat.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It's exciting.
Were you surprised?
I was very surprised because it turned out to be a very big project.
That's right. Now, how else are you getting the word out?
Well, Craigslist. There are going to be ads on Craigslist. The website's the main way. Word of mouth has always been the way. Before that, Craigslist I've only started doing. But there are a lot of ads on Craigslist, and basically they're targeting Boston, New York, Providence, and Los Angeles for Craigslist ads. And then the website is targeted to reach everywhere else.
That's a great idea. And we had talked earlier before we started the show about networking groups. And, you know, it's not all for just people in high tech.
Right.
It's for, I went to one, I was visiting one, tell them about the show and invite people on. And there was a fellow there who was a paver. And he was at this network, rubbing elbows with a guy who used to be the CEO of a techie corporation. So, I mean, everybody's welcome. I bet you would enjoy that very much. So I'll tell you after the show if there's one in Hopkinton. It's awesome.
Okay.
So, now, what does your family think about this? Are they supporting you, or?
Oh, yes, they definitely are supporting me. That project, or actually the project I had gotten in the last month, I had a week to do it, and it was, you see 6 frames on that promotional cartoon. This one had about 20, and it had to be done in a week. I'd never done that much that quickly, but I took it on and I was able to complete it, and they said I knocked it out of the park.
That's great.
So I was very happy to hear that. And
was it a local company, John, or foreign?
It was out of Boston. Boston.
And they were willing to deal with you. You didn't have to travel out there, did you?
I traveled out there and actually sat with the person for about 2 to 3 hours, because all they had was written copy to start with. And so I sat with them, and I came up with the pictures to the words, which is how I do the other work.
So they basically, you sit down with a person, and they say, what about the people who don't even know how to start with you. We say, we have, in our office, there's this thing we want on the wall, and it's this kind of joke, can you help us? Are you good at putting in obviously the sayings as well as the drawing?
Yeah. Yeah, the idea is to take as much as they have and try to give them exactly what they want. And that they don't always know what they want at first.
Yeah.
But they know they want a cartoon of some kind or a drawing. And as you were saying before, you can apply it to not just a corporate environment. It could be anything. Caricatures in general are where I know those are a big hit at parties, that kind of thing. I mean, I won't sit there and draw someone. I mean, I could, but I prefer to put a story to it for them.
So it's not just corporations. You are willing to be flexible if somebody else, a beauty parlor could call you and say, hey, we need something on the wall. Or somebody's uncle is retiring from somewhere and they want to do a family cartoon.
Sure.
You're open to that too.
Yeah, I mean, say they want a little biography done and they have an old picture or two. Maybe I could draw something like that, just a little history for them. Anything, say you have a party, say someone's getting married and they want to propose, who knows, maybe they could have a drawing of them, you know, proposing somehow.
That's awesome. Now, what made you decide to suddenly do this? What were you doing before you decided to go into this?
Well, I've been working as a freelance illustrator for a number of years. Technical illustration is mainly what I did, and that sort of stemmed from doing the ornament work, which you have to learn to design for the manufacturing, for the etching process. So I offered that to say I could design things in 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, and that helps. My father was an architect, and he taught me a little bit about perspective. I learned a bit about drawing buildings, though I didn't have the mathematical aptitude to go to follow in his footsteps. But I have tried my best to take the medium, learn it the best I can, and do it whatever I can to help benefit whoever it is I'm doing it for.
Yeah. You're an entrepreneur. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You fall into that category.
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith, isn't it?
Oh.
I've been an entrepreneur since I was 11, so I know this is, I know it's like, can I do this? Will it work? But let it fly. If it doesn't, it's like throwing against the wall. If that one doesn't hit, you throw another one.
Well, maybe you could say that the idea of putting that ad up there was sort of a thought, I'll just give it a try and see what happens.
And look what happened.
Not only did I get the big job, but I also got to sit with you and go through this on TV, which was beyond my expectations.
Well, you're going to be seen by a lot of people. We're online too, which reminds me, I know that Glenn had given me the fast number. Glenn, quickly, what is our online?
Upton MA.
Upton MA.
.gov. Look on the lower left side for
that videos. I can, okay. Yeah, uptonma.gov. Once you get there, this is the short version. Once you get there, scroll over to the left, scroll down, it says video streaming, hit it. That'll come up, and there'll be 3 other shows. You'll see Be My Guest at the top. Click that. That'll come on, and you'll see what? 6, 7 shows, fairly recent ones we've done on here.
Okay.
And,
great.
Yeah, it is. I've got people out in Oregon watching this.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're going to be seen.
Well, it's overwhelming in a way, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, and it's great to have a way of talking about it. I never got this kind of response to any other thing I threw at the wall. And,
this is unusual.
So,
really, to do it for a corporation, everyone thinks, you go into the company every day and everything's straight-laced, but when you see somebody who actually lightens it up.
Yeah, it's fun, and there's not a lot out there for artists. When you're starting out, there's a lot of entry-level graphics jobs, but once you've been at it for a while, you kind of have grown a little bit, and that's when I became a freelancer, basically, just because the most interesting work I ever did has been freelance work.
Oh, yeah.
It's always been beyond the I'll take corporate work any time I can get it.
Yeah.
The last job I had was with a company that did technical illustrations, and it was the schematic diagrams for their products. So it had nothing to do with comics or cartoons.
Did you
or
enjoy
anything.
that?
I did enjoy that in a way.
You did? Yeah.
Sinking my teeth into something else. And I was trying to promote myself more as a technical illustrator up until, like the stuff you do for manuals for when you open something, when you get a package that has a product and you open it and it tells you how to plug one thing into another, and it has the drawings of the parts. That's the kind of work I was looking to get, which I also think is unique. But it's not as fun as this. That didn't get this kind of response.
I bet when you go into, when you have your car work done, the auto shops and all, some of them, the crazy little cartoons the managers have up in their wall. But while you're waiting for, I had an oil change yesterday. And but I would think a lot of the mechanic shops, they've got crazy things up there. You could even do it for a mechanic or a car dealership.
Yeah, I mean, that is written. That's basically a commercial. You see, that 6 panels is a commercial. It's a commercial. I think would be funny if you look at the how it begins. You have a guy talking to a dinosaur, which isn't really going to happen, and they're also wearing hard hats. I was thinking of the Flintstones, kind of like, oh, they're on break, and
but it's a message you're getting across.
Right, and it's like the guy's trying to talk to the dinosaur, and he says, oh, let's get a bite to eat. The dinosaur just looks at him like, I'm looking at you, buddy, and so he starts chasing him. But if you look at the end in the last frame, and you look in the window, the dinosaur is still chasing the guy. So it's sort of a carryover to the end, and it ties it together. And it's just fun. I like commercials that are like that on TV.
I like that one you did, Corporate-Cartoonist Call Now, right on your screen, on your computer screen.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Do you have children?
I have 2.
All right. Are they inclined this way too?
Oh, they are.
Art seems to try to run in the family, I noticed. So they've tried. What do they think of? Do they do other kinds of cartooning?
They're good at art. They're good at music. That's something we're all very good at. And I would certainly promote them if I get enough response on the site, which I certainly am hoping I will. And it all ties in together. This I'm hoping to link on the site. So a link to your show from my site. Also, the new web address will be in the Craig's ads. It's going to start showing up everywhere.
Can you give us the website again?
Sure. It's www.corporate-cartoonist.com. Don't forget the dash in the middle.
Don't forget that dash.
In fact, the dash may turn into a character on its own just to help people remember. I did find there were a few other people that did something similar, because I looked it up after I heard from you. I'm like, wow, am I the only one who thought about this? And when I looked, there were a couple other people that do something similar, but I didn't see anyone who geared an ad specifically with a cartoon to what I'm doing, to this.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, I'm just going to put it on there. It says exactly what it is. It hits home.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
So.
Yeah, it was like a leap of faith, obviously. And so, do you have a studio at home? How do you do this?
My studio is the size of a desk.
I hear you. Yeah, a box, right?
Yeah. My little space.
Your little space. But how do you spread out, though? I mean, you just.
Oh, we spread out. It's just. The good thing about doing the work on the computer, it's pretty much they send a sketch, I can scan it in and use a scan to work from. So there's not a lot of need for table space. There used to be in the old days doing mechanical drawing. You'd use a mechanical pen you drew on vellum, which was something I used to see when I worked for my dad, actually, in his office. He ran his own business as an architect. And he did very well. In fact, he did some commercial stuff. He had some success. I'm sure you've heard of Papagino's. That was actually his concept.
That was his concept?
The original chef was his.
Really?
So I always am inspired by what he had done. And
has he seen what you do?
He saw he had passed away a number of years ago. He saw it up till about 20 years ago. But he got to see work on the ornaments. He actually liked some of the cartoon. There was a cartoon character I had developed, which I'm trying to make into a book. I don't have any of that stuff here. I'd rather wait till the book is ready.
A book?
Well,
what's this? You're gonna write? You're putting together a cartoon book?
Well, I think it's going to be more of a cartoon book. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like the kind the kids buy?
Yeah. It's actually, there are 3 characters I've developed over the years that I've actually put into a few different things.
Yeah.
In fact, I forgot to bring a few things.
That's okay.
I did a couple of greeting cards with these characters, but I want to make sure they're copyrighted and all that, because...
greeting cards, that's another great idea.
Yeah. That
is really good. You know, your type of art is the type of thing that, well, being my kind of art is abstract. It would show in a gallery, you know, that type of thing. But yours is specialized. That's not gallery.
Right.
This goes in a whole different direction.
Well, another thing, too, that now that with the advent of Kindle and all these different palm-held reading devices, drawings can be done for that process. I want to do a book that's going to be electronic as well as printed. And now an electronic book can be done and save the printing costs. It could be promoted as a book with the drawings and all. But it's something I try to think of what people will do when they're holding their reading device in their hand, and the drawing is clear enough to see, which goes back to how you want to draw something that will get the message across in a small space.
Definitely.
So,
where do you see this in your goal, your aim moving forward? What would you like to see? Where this will go? Is the sky the limit?
My hope is just that companies will see it and see it as a innovative way to get their message across.
I can see it at the dentist office. I mean, the more we talk, the more I can vision where you walk into different businesses.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. Every business has their characters in it.
Yeah.
And what you do is you can actually take them, bring them down to size, and make these cartoons.
Yeah.
And they could be in waiting rooms.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought of that. But yeah. I mean, that poster could go anywhere. In fact, I'll probably carry it to a few places and say, hey, this is what I do.
Yeah.
It's my calling card. It's a little big for that.
I like what you made it on. By the way, what is that?
That's a foam core. And in fact, there was another piece which I didn't bring with me, but it was another thing that was mounted on foam core. It was actually a building I drew for an architect's business. One of the things that my people do for architects is renderings, like to show what a building's going to look like in a certain site. And we had people in the office where my father ran his business who did that. I did a little of that, but I wasn't further enough along at the time to draw things that precise. But buildings, I can draw buildings in any way, so because the ornament work I've done for so many years. So they wanted to see what a building would look like at a certain perspective, and so I took a MapQuest drawing of the site where it was going to go, and I actually drew it in perspective to show what it was going to look like based on a design they gave me. Well, there are people who did rendering work, which shows how to estimate what a building's going to look like when it's drawn in the future. And there are companies that do that kind of work, but I can actually do that kind of work with the training I had drawing buildings, commemorative buildings for the ornament business.
So you can do that. If somebody, some company or whatever business wants a commemorative ornament, I think it's a great idea to give, like at a Christmas party or a gift to the employees. You can do that.
It can be for Christmas. It could be displayed on a mantle.
For Hanukkah, anything.
Yeah. Any time of year you could have an etched piece. It could be a bookmark. It could be a paperweight if you want to enclose it in lucite. You can do things like that. But the other thing that I can offer people is that I can take something, a product, any product you have, and draw it at any angle you want it drawn. And it's something I learned in mechanical drawing, how to draw things at different angles. My father taught me a little bit of that too.
Is it difficult?
You have to interpret what it's going to look like. So it's not, a lot of things can be done with computer now. There's CAD programs, which I still haven't really learned to draw, but in Adobe Illustrator, which is the main program I do the work in, I can draw things that look hand-drawn even though they're not. And you can make corrections within a couple of minutes, where in the old days, if you were drawing with ink on a piece of vellum and you made a mistake or you wanted to edit it, you had to scratch it clean and redraw it. And it would get pitted after you scratched it, so your drawing would look jagged. The lines would start to look jagged, and you'd have to. It was a long process. It's something artists today would not.
What's your favorite?
No.
Actually doing the cartoons?
Yeah.
That's your favorite?
Yeah.
Now, you know what I can see? You know when you're in the dentist and you're...
Yeah, looking up.
Well, some of them have something on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, something humorous to take their mind off what they're having done, yeah.
The waiting rooms, you know, there are all kinds of corporate conventions. You can do presentations on this type of thing and say, look what I can do, you know?
Yeah, I mean, PowerPoint presentations are another thing. You can put those in.
Exactly, with the cartoon. That's another thing. PowerPoint presentations, cartoon with your illustrations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would make it different, because let me tell you, most of them are boring.
Well, people a lot of times use clip art, which you have to select what works. You might find what works, but it looks like clip art. It's always going to look like clip art.
They one right after the other. Whereas if you have something like this pops up, like, ooh!
Something that's unique to them that you won't get in clip art.
Well,
that is the whole idea of doing a customized illustration.
I like that dinosaur thing. I mean, you folks really... Is this on your website? Will they get to see this?
That is being put on as we speak.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Little elves are busy putting it
yes,
on.
Yes, people in place are actually helping me market a little bit. Besides yourself, I have a couple other people that are actually helping me out now, which I've never had before. It's nice to have a fresh perspective, and that you're certainly offering that to me and everyone else.
Well, again, this is Jon Borowko, and he is a cartoonist illustrator for corporations or anybody else who would really appreciate this. It adds a little note of fun in your office, your business, whatever. And if your family would appreciate it. Jon, thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jan.
We'll see you next time and be my guest.